Welcome to the Living Proof Recovery Podcast. We're your host. I'm Evan. This is Brian. Tonight we have Leah here with us, and she's going to share a little bit of her story with you guys tonight. So we will go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. My name is Leah, and I have a sobriety date of December the 3rd, 2023. So I'm coming up on 2 years next month.
Come on.
Very exciting. I have not ever told my story per se or spoken at a meeting, so I appreciate any grace you guys can give me. But just to start off, I guess talking about what got me here, with you guys and in recovery in general. It's a long road, but towards the end, I was drinking very, very heavily to the point where for the last year, I had very bad pancreatitis. So I was in the hospital 3 or 4 separate times over the course of a year. And it was really, super painful. And when I tell you that I was in that hospital, like, I'm not drinking again. There's no way. And I meant it, and I believed it, and I felt it, and I didn't want, my family was worried, about me. I was worried about me. The doctors were telling me, like, if you keep doing this, you will die. And so, when I got home and within the first few days, like 2 days, I couldn't stop. Like, I was reaching for the alcohol again. That had to go on for a year. And that is when I was like, I need help. Like, I can't do this on my own because my health is being threatened severely. And so that's when I kind of made the decision that I needed to reach out. My family was really helpful and super supportive, which, I can't say enough about that. And maybe we'll get into that at some point. Just your support system and how, important that is. But basically, I reached out and I went to treatment.
Was it hard for you to ask for help?
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, which is crazy because, like, I'll puke on your front yard.
Yeah.
I'll lay in your front yard and puke straight up and not think anything of it, not feel bad about it, and ask for you to clean it up and not feel bad. But asking for help to save my life is
Correct. Makes no sense.
Yeah, it's insanity.
And I get how you felt even coming home from the hospital, but you were reaching for the bottle again.
It was horrible.
Because even after waking up in the hospital from overdoses and stuff like that, I mean, I remember overdosing and waking up, and then within like an hour of leaving the hospital, I'm shooting heroin again.
Yeah.
The insanity of it. And I knew I had a problem. I didn't want to do it, but that's where I was at, so.
It's true powerlessness.
Yes.
It's like, I don't want to do this. I'm done. Like you said, right? I don't know how many times I've looked my wife in the face, my kids, my parents, like, or just myself in the mirror, like, I am not doing this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first thing in the morning, not doing this.
Yeah.
And then by like noon, I've changed my mind. And I'm like, oh, one won't hurt. I'll quit tomorrow, or I will manage it this time. Because I don't want to go back to the hospital. Like, I'm sure you were probably thinking, well, I'm just going to, moderate. That way I don't have to go back to the hospital because I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do this either where I'm not drinking because this sucks.
Yeah.
So so you went to treatment. So your sobriety date was the 3rd December. So were you there for Christmas?
I was. And,
what was that like?
Weird.
Oh yeah. I've spent many of holidays and birthdays in treatments and locked up, and so I get it.
They did a good job, of making it as good as it could be. Yeah, but it wasn't as bad as I thought, to be quite honest. And once again, my family played a huge part in that. But once I committed, I was ready. Like, I was ready to surrender once I was there.
If you don't mind us asking, where
Sure.
did you go to treatment?
I went to RAC.
Okay.
Robert Alexander Center. And I don't know how, I don't think that I could have done it without treatment. I had to be removed from the situation. I live alone, so I wasn't hiding it from anybody. I didn't have to sneak around. I could do whatever I want. I door dashed Fireball to my house on the regular. And like, looking back on it, I started the bargaining long before the hospital. Like I'd be at work and I'd be like, I'm not drinking today. When I get off work, I'm gonna go straight home.
Mhm.
And it's like autopilot, pulling
Yep.
into my
Mhm.
favorite hole in the wall. And I remember like hating myself and feeling like why aren't you stronger than this? Why are you doing this? But I didn't realize that I was powerless. I still thought that I could quit. It's been a hard day or I had some stuff going on. So
Yeah, we can always find an excuse
Yeah.
of, why it's okay. At least I always did. I
mhm.
always found some reason of why this is okay. You know, yeah, I've been I was in treatment um, during Easter, and that's not nearly as big of a holiday, right? For most people, it's like Christmas. Do you have kids?
I do.
Right. So I know when I was working there, it was around the holidays were tough because not everybody, but a lot of people get antsy and they want to leave, because, oh, you don't understand. I got to be there for so and so, it's Christmas, I have to be there. It's like, man, the best thing you can do is
Yeah.
stay right where you're
Right.
at. That's the best Christmas gift you can give them
Yeah.
is to take care of yourself. And did you struggle with that at all? Or was it like, no, I'm doing that?
Oh, I did for sure. And I think that there was added like shame and guilt
Mhm.
because not only have I gotten to this point and hurt my family and made my family worry about me, now I'm not going to be around for the holidays, and I only have one daughter and she is grown, but we are really big on traditions and she she and I have never had there's never been a Christmas morning where we weren't together. So I felt awful about that. But once again, they were incredible. And she's 24, but was so, grown up and supportive and, you know, uh,
So who did you reach out to first? Because I'm assuming I know you're in a relationship, but you said you lived by yourself,
yeah, oh yeah.
so
Yeah.
you didn't have your boyfriend at the time.
No.
Um,
Um,
was it
so
mom?
no,
Okay.
no.
No.
My parents are actually, they both passed.
Oh, I'm
Which,
sorry.
no, you're fine, but like with losing my mom, grief, and now looking back, I can see like grief and stress are my two biggest, were the two biggest things that I drank. And when my mom passed away, I was already on the way, but that was in 2017. So
Okay.
look, from 2017 to 2023, I just was spiraling after losing her. But
Okay.
my family did play a role. Everybody knew that I had, that there was an issue, especially after going in and out of the hospital. But I think that my brothers they didn't want to push me. Um, they didn't want to, it's just a hard thing. It's a hard thing
Yeah.
to talk about. It's a hard thing to, and especially when we are so convincing, we're so manipulating,
Mhm.
we're so, if I was in pain with my pancreatitis, I would say that I was probably just eating some spicy food. Everybody knew what was going on, but so my youngest brother's wife, actually, she was was the one that was finally like, I think you need help and we're here for you and we'll do anything. But she was the only one that was like, you need, and I was already there, but that is really what pushed me. And at the time I was angry. I was angry. I was like, who the hell does she think she is to tell me
How
this?
could you do this to
Yeah,
me?
tell me not to do something or tell
Yeah.
me to do something. I'm going to do the opposite. Like, I'll
Yeah.
show you. But
With an attitude.
planted a seed for
Mhm.
sure. And then I reached out to, I knew somebody that works at RAC. And I reached out to her and she was on it. I wasn't ready. She's like, we can get you in next week. We can get you in tomorrow, I think is what they said. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Wait a minute now.
Yeah. But I went pretty quickly, within a couple days, I think.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure your brother had this conversation at some point with his wife before she said that to you, if I had to guess.
I'm sure.
I'm
but sure they all were. And that's
but it's
another
so
thing
hard.
that hurts. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Thinking that they're all talking about you, but it's because they care.
Yeah.
This
It's a good
is
thing that
a
they're talking
Yeah.
about you.
and this is a family disease, right?
Yep.
So I know for me, it's my family knew for a long time. I tried to get sober for over 10 years, and put time together and go back. And, they all knew that I had a problem with alcohol and whatever drugs I can get my hands on. But it was always easier for them to out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was tearing them apart as well, and I think my mother was the only one who would call me on my bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But, she was always my biggest enabler and my biggest supporter at the same time, so it's very hard on the family. So I think that you are very blessed to have a sister-in-law that was willing to come out and say that, because I wish my entire family would have done things a lot differently and a lot faster. And you know what I mean? It would have been better off on everyone, them included. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have put them through so much shit, maybe.
It's almost like you're waiting for somebody to
Save
call
me.
you out on it.
Save me.
I think I agree with that, because I got so blatant with
Mm-hmm.
my use that but I'm trying not to get caught, but it's almost like I'm trying to get caught.
Yeah.
It's like I want someone to intervene, because I can't do it myself. Like, I'm not going to just fall on a sword and be like, hey, I need this. Like, it wasn't going to happen. Like, somebody had to intervene. Something had to happen, some kind of consequence,
Yes.
or me seeing the damage I'm doing, like me doing it on my own. Like I said, I might feel that way at 12, 8 o'clock in the morning,
Mhm.
but by the time my wife gets home from work and I want to talk about it, that thought's gone. That obsession's taken back over. I'm like, all right, well, I'll talk to her about it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then tomorrow never comes.
It's always tomorrow.
Yeah. It's just, we put people through. I remember, so like I said, I was in treatment on Easter. I got out the day after Easter. And so my wife had to go to my mom and dad's house. The whole family's there. Everybody, where's Brian? Where's Brian? And my mom and my wife had to get up in front of everybody and just tell everyone, instead of telling everyone individually, like, here's the deal. Brian's not here because he's in rehab. And, and I was like, fuck, man. Like, I felt like this tall, so I was like, man, they had to do that. Like, I felt bad about that. And it was like, it just gives me another motivator, another motivating factor of like, I really need to take care of myself when I get out of here, because if I don't, the next holiday is going to be the same thing, or I'm going to make an ass of myself at that holiday.
One of the worst times that I went into rehab, and just like like one of those emotional bottoms.
They're the worst.
I remember, I was so sick, and so I went to RAC as well, on 2 separate occasions. The first time I went, I only stayed for 4 days to detox because that's all I needed.
Of course.
Right?
VIP treatment.
Right. So I remember that day, though, because it was Mother's Day, and I laid in bed with, my wife, so she's fucking pissed at me. You know what I mean? Because it's Mother's Day, and I have the flu. I think I have the flu, right? But at that point, I was like, I want to be done. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to cold turkey this. Terrible idea. So I'm sick as fuck. And then my mom calls because, my wife and kids are getting ready to go to my mother's house for Mother's Day, and I'm not coming. So my mom calls, and she said, this will be 3 years in a row you haven't come to see, or 2 years in a row you hadn't come to see me on Mother's Day. You've been sick 2 years in a row. And I'm like, I know.
Isn't it crazy?
It's just the time of year.
Like literally, like, it makes me crawl when she said that, and it broke my fucking heart. You know what I mean? And so literally, my wife and kids leave, and they're at my mom's, and then I called, and I just told them, I need to go to rehab. I need to go back to treatment. I relapsed. And of course they showed up, and they were supportive at that time. And then went to rehab for 4 days, came back, and that was when I first met Brian for the first time. And then I ended up relapsing again. Brian was like a month out of treatment at the time. I was, maybe 6 days
Yeah.
sober at the time,
Right.
not long.
Yeah.
But I just remember that when my mom called me
Pigeon
that
Bruce.
day.
Yeah.
And that goes back to how I can relate to what you were saying earlier about how you didn't want to do it anymore, but you didn't know how to stop even after even after I went and detox for 4 days, like I didn't know how to stop. Well, I take that back. At that time, I did know how to stop because I had been in recovery in and out for so long. I knew what the answer was and where the solution was. I just wasn't putting any action into it at the time. So I went back out. But, it just made me think of that, just what we were talking about that day. I still remember that day when my mom said that, you ain't been here in 2 years. I'm like, fuck.
Well,
You're
I think
right.
sometimes we get in a place where we might know what the solution is, but we can't take the steps to get to
Right.
it.
It
We're
feels so
so-
far away.
yeah, we're
it
so
feels so
sick.
overwhelming.
We're just so sick. It's like I can't stop.
Yeah.
Like physically, mentally, spiritually, like I am broken. Like I just can't stop. And you mentioned that earlier, like you had to be removed.
Oh yeah.
And I'm the same way. I know Evan is too. It's like I don't know how people do it
I
without.
don't either. I couldn't.
I tried it my first real attempt at it, and I went through detox for 20 something days and white knuckled it, and it was brutal. And I was able to stay sober for, not even sober, I was able to stay dry for a couple months. And then I was like, fuck this, man.
Yeah.
Like, I had no tools, I had no nothing.
Right.
And I was just like, raw dog in life.
Yeah.
It just did not work.
Yeah, like, and it's the same for me. Like, I went that 4 days, and then I guess it was 8 months later is when I called them back and was like, "Hey, I need help." Which I've known the owners and the director my entire life. My son is named after Robert Alexander.
Oh wow.
So I've known them my whole life. So within 20 minutes, they were
Yeah.
busting through my front door, but they weren't letting me come back. The director, he was like, I'll help you, but you're going somewhere else. At the time, our insurance, it was the beginning of the year, so our insurance had started over. So they just brought me to RAC just to get me off the street, is what it was. Kelly was done at that point.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out. I
Yeah.
don't care where you go, but
Right.
it ain't here.
Right.
So they were just bringing me there to get me off the street. They did run my insurance, but being the beginning of the year, my insurance wanted like 10 grand up front, and obviously I didn't have that to give them. So they were trying to figure something out, and I ended up having to speak to the owner who lives in Florida and talk to him about it, and he allowed me to come back, and they came in my room. I was sick, and I remember them opening the door, and the case manager said, "Hey, they just scholarshiped you for 30 days. So you're here for 30 days." And it was like this weight.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank God,
Mhm.
because now I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to be separated for
Yes.
30 days. I can have my mind clear and actually get this shit out of
Yeah.
me and get refocused. And it was just like this weight lifted.
Yeah.
So I can't do it on the streets. I've tried
Yeah,
so many
I have
times.
to.
It doesn't work.
No. Me neither.
Well, and alcohol is so it's normal. It's
Mm-hmm.
celebrated, and everybody around me drank because not everybody's not sick like me, but like my family, they're not like us. They can drink
Yeah.
normally and not burn their life to the ground. So I think it makes it a lot harder when I can literally DoorDash the alcohol. Like I don't
Yeah,
have to
right.
find a dealer and go meet
Right.
somebody. It's everywhere you look. That was
Mhm.
really, really difficult when I first got out. I clocked every liquor store that I drove by. I didn't realize how many places in Louisville I've stopped to get alcohol until and every liquor store, every bar that I passed, every drink I saw on TV, even, it's like I registered it. And now it's so different. Like I don't, that's long gone. I don't think about it. I'm indifferent, right? I don't.
So let's touch on that.
Mhm.
So you get out of treatment
Hmm.
and it's hard, right?
Yeah.
Early on, I think we would all agree it's hard. early
IOP
on.
was a savior for me as well.
So, okay, so you had IOP.
Yep.
Was that like 6, 8 weeks, something like that?
Mhm.
Okay. So you're doing that. Are you going to 12-step programs during that, or like while you're doing IOP? Or how long? So
Actually,
you have a sponsor,
I do.
right? So how long was it until you got a sponsor?
Um, so I actually started going to meetings when I was in treatment because I was there for 45 days. So my PHP portion, the last
Yeah.
2 weeks, I started going to meetings. Um, I got a sponsor. My memory is still not great, but I want to say within a few months of being sober. That's not the sponsor I have now. The sponsor I have now, I've been with for a year, but I did get a temporary sponsor, and I started the steps a few months in. But early sobriety for me looked like just staying sober, literally learning my life all over again. I had
Yeah.
no idea what I liked to do, what I was going to spend my time doing because, like I said, I lived alone. I was unemployed on top of that. So it was like the perfect storm. Um, I had no responsibilities. So I just drank. I did whatever I wanted and drank all the time and went wherever I wanted, hung out with whoever I wanted. So in the early days of sobriety, I was making meetings, but I was just like trying to figure out life again. Almost, I want to say the first several months of sobriety was just relearning how to function without alcohol. The second year of sobriety that I'm in now has just been incredible. Just
In what ways?
so seeing who I am, who the real me is, and things that I'm good at, being able to be reliable, being able to be inspirational, seeing my family being proud of me, like committing to shit and finishing it and following
Right.
through, being able to say I'll be there in the morning and I'm there, meeting people. I literally didn't think I would have fun anymore. I was like, I have to quit drinking.
My life's over.
Yes, and I was okay with that because the alternative was
My
not.
life's over.
Yeah. I was like, this is gonna suck. I watched a lot of TV, and I still DoorDash, but it wasn't Fireball, it was food. So I spent a lot of time at home at first. But the second year, um, building relationships, and I'm huge on that. I can now see that connection is really big for me. In sobriety, I got to stay connected. I got to stay plugged in. Um, at a certain point, I dialed back a little bit on like meetings, and not even on purpose, just slightly. Or maybe I wasn't praying as often, or I wasn't on my routine as well, and I could tell very, very quickly a difference. Like I started being irritable. I didn't want to drink, but I have figured out my equation for sobriety and what for me that looks like. And as long as I stick to that, I'm thriving. Like it's
Yeah.
not about surviving. My life is better now than I could have ever imagined it could be. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
That's such a cool way to put it, right? Thriving, not surviving. Because let's be honest, like we were not thriving.
Not at all.
We
We were barely
just
surviving.
barely, like every day it's like, what do I have to do to just barely keep my head above water today, not drown? And that's a shitty existence.
It's horrible. You
Like
can't be good at anything or
No.
good for anyone if you can't even.
Be good for yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's just fucking sucks, man. It really does. But I think it's pretty common for people to think that like that's the way sobriety is going
Yes.
to be, but everybody that we've had on this podcast has said different, because we've all experienced that. We've all experienced, the freedom of like what real sobriety looks like.
Yes.
Because I didn't have anything to compare it to because I've been in that jail cell my whole life, and once I finally got free, because when I'd gotten sober in the past, I wasn't free, so I didn't really, I was like, well, that's what it's going to be like this
Yeah.
time. And, but I said, do some of the work, and it's.
What do you think the difference for you this time around?
Well, number one is I'm not half-assing things.
Yeah.
So I think that, and we talk about it on here a lot, and people are probably tired of hearing about it, but it all comes down to action. It's like, if I want something to change, I have to do something about it. And I started doing something about it, and I started reaping the benefits of it. And I was like, wow, like this thing actually works. And then once I realized it worked, it was like, oh, I want more of this. Like, I want to keep doing this. It was just kind of like alcohol. It's like, I want more of this. Like, I like this feeling of being like you said, having some integrity, finishing things that I start, like my dad and my mom telling me they're proud of me,
It's the best feeling.
being present, and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was just, it's like cause and effect. It's just like, if I do these things, then I get these things. So, and I want to keep getting those things. So I just gotta grind every day. I gotta do what I gotta do. But it's not a hard thing to do on a daily basis. Like, it becomes the default. It just becomes who I am. Like, this is just what I do.
Right.
It's not like I wake up in the morning and I've got this checklist of all these, and like, man, I got to do all this stuff to stay sober today. I don't even think about staying sober.
Right.
I don't think about not staying sober.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just living my life. And that's what real sobriety is. That's what recovery
That's
looks
what
like.
real freedom is.
Yeah.
I know, and it can happen to any of us. So the episode that came out today, I talked about how we recorded that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I talked about how I was in this funk, right? And my wife had noticed, and coworkers, and I was just in this, and what it came down to is I just hadn't for that whole week I hadn't done enough.
Yeah.
Is what it came down to. Nothing catastrophic had happened.
Right.
I was just
Woke up today
being a dick. I was just being a dick is what it was. So I as far as getting honest and really doing the work, because I've had multiple years of sobriety at different points over my life, and every time it was always, I'm either focusing on working the steps and getting through the steps. And then even I sponsored other men at that time. And then there was times where it was I'm just fellowshipping. I'm just fellowship. The program of AA and the fellowship goes hand in hand. And that's one of the things that's go around that outside of my spirituality, but the fellowship and the program together. If I didn't have the group of men that I have in my life, I don't know if I would be sober today, honestly. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I would, but I know that today, when I have both working together, life is so much better and my sobriety is so much stronger.
Yep.
I have guys that can call me on my bullshit. I'm with Brian every day. If something's off, he's gonna fucking call me out on it. You know what I mean? I need other, and I need other men in my life. Like, I can run stuff by these guys, and they're gonna give me the honest answer.
Right.
Like, no, you're a fucking idiot.
And they understand. They understand.
Let me hear your plan again. Oh, right. Call somebody else over here. Come here, listen to this plan. This plan, it's a beauty. But so I remember. So he's talking about like the program, the fellowship. And there's one other part to it, right? There's the service. And I don't know if you remember this, but we had a home group meeting. God, you had less than 6 months sober. I remember that. And they were like, we need someone to do this job, And you're like, I'll do it. And they were like, well, you don't have enough sobriety.
I can't stand that.
I remember. I was like, oh, man.
And it pissed me off. And I was like, you know what? I was like, this is bullshit. Like, we need to change this. And I was just like, man, like she's trying, like she wants to be involved, and we're not letting her. We know that.
I want to say maybe it was a key holder though, and so I can understand. I think maybe
we have felons there.
Yeah.
Like come on, like
6 months you can't hold the key, but at 6 months, we're trusting felons that have been sober for a year to hold all the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like so.
That's funny you remember that.
Yeah, well, I've noticed stuff like that, because I'm like,
we've talked about that a million times over the years. Just
we can't, like, we read in our book that it's like, hey, in order for these people to stay sober, they got to get involved and help
Mhm.
others. And it's like, hey, I want to get involved. It's like, you can't. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
what are we doing? You know, like, what are we doing here? Right. And, but I remember that because of, like, I pick up on stuff like that. And like, she's trying. She
Yeah.
wants to be in the middle. She wants to be a part, you know, so let's let her, you know.
Well, you listen.
But now I know you are.
Yeah,
You know,
I
so-
am. Sometimes I'm like, sheesh, what do I got going on now?
Right.
Not really, but I think I listened to people saying, put up chairs,
Mhm.
clean out the
Mhm.
ashtray, like make the coffee, you know, because I think we overthink things. I definitely overthink stuff. And I'm like, what can I do to, you know, I don't know what good I can do. How can I be of service? And I thought it had to be these grand gestures or
Mhm.
super high responsible, you know, titles or tasks when really it's literally just pitching in to help. And I love that about meetings and our home group. Like, if I'm like right now for the month, I've been opening and closing. Not one time have I turned around and there's not 3 people doing stuff
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
I'm supposed to do at the end. So it gets done in 5 minutes. And I really like how everybody pitches in. Um, the service portion of it, more specifically like sponsoring, um, you know, just being completely transparent. And I'm glad to be here with you guys because you had more time than me. I am very hesitant and like scared to death to sponsor someone now.
Mm.
I'm on the 11th step, so technically I can't yet, but it's coming. And you know, is part of it I'm selfish? Sure, we're all selfish, but I think I'm also like I don't know that I feel like I'm not going to have the answers. You know, the responsibility feels so heavy. Like, what if I tell them something wrong and they slip up? You know, and the other bigger part is that I get overwhelmed really easily. I'm maladaptive to life, and that's why I drank. The stress from my work, dude, had me running for the bot. Like I can't, and I'm still that way. I have to work on my emotional sobriety. I have to work on stress and triggers. So I'm afraid, I think, that if I fill my plate too much or overwhelm myself with responsibility, that I'm not going to be well. And like, isn't the most important thing my sobriety? Isn't that what I'm supposed? So I would love to hear your all take on that. And,
Yeah, you want to go or you want me to go? 'Cause I love
Well,
where this is going.
yeah.
This
So
is
the just keep in mind the only way to keep what you have
is to give it away.
is to give it away,
Right.
right? So, and that's a normal feeling to have when you're going to get your first sponsee.
For sure.
You're like, that's normal. I'm like, fuck this person up,
It makes my
you know?
stomach hurt.
And that's normal though. But you know what? I know the group of women that you run with,
Yeah.
and if I have a sponsee that asks me something and I don't know the answer, I just tell them, you know what? I don't know, but give me 5 minutes and I'll
Yeah.
call you back
Yeah.
because I've got a tribe of men that I can call, and somebody's going to give me the answer. And the answer's always in our book,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
always in the book.
To the book.
Yeah, we'll be at work, and you know we work with a couple guys that are in recovery, and we're all this tight group of guys. And if something even work related or just an issue comes up, there's been several times where we're like, we don't know, but you know, let's go to the book and we'll fucking find it.
Yeah.
You know,
How do you even know where to look? You know,
It kind of jumps out to
well,
you.
it jumps out to you,
Yeah.
and there's also
It's
this
like, oh,
cool
yeah,
thing we
I
have
knew this.
now called Google.
Yeah. It's
yeah.
like, I knew
You know
that.
what I'm saying? Like, we'll make this so much harder than what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
You know what I
so-
mean? It's
So so the beautiful thing about thinking that you're not going to have all the answers is that you don't have to have all the answers,
no.
right? You know, that's not our job, right? We have to understand what being a sponsor is, right? So as a sponsor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a marriage counselor. You know, I'm someone who knows how to get through the 12 steps.
Mhm.
Now, if someone that I'm sponsoring has a problem and I have experience with that, then I can give them my experience, right? I'm like, okay, well, here's what I did in that situation, or you know, here's what I know Evan went through this. Here's what he did, or here's Evan's phone number, or oh, you need help with a marriage counselor. Let's go find you a therapist.
Yeah.
You know, I'll help you find a therapist. You know, because I don't want to operate outside of my license.
Right.
Right. So it's like,
Sure.
I'm not there to fix somebody. You know, I'm there to get them connected to a power greater than themselves
Mhm.
via the 12 steps. That's it. You know, and if I can help along the way and share some of my experiences, that's even better.
Mm-hmm.
But my first sponsor told me, because I had the same thing. I was like, what if I fuck him up?
Yeah.
And he was like, he's already fucked up.
Yeah, it's true.
He's like,
Yeah.
what do you think you have that much power?
Yeah,
That
you
you're
do.
gonna fuck this guy's life up? And I was like, oh yeah. It's like, he's like, you have your experience, right? And it's like, yeah. Okay, you got your book? Yeah. Okay. Then, and the only way that we get like good at that, and like Evan said, get to keep it is by doing it, and there's going to be some fear, for sure. Like, I mean, because we want to do well,
Sure, yeah.
like we want to do well.
Well, and you also hear people talk about their incredible sponsors and these things like the bar is high,
Well, I mean, that's all pride and ego, though.
Yeah.
On our part, we all want to be, oh, I fixed that one. Look what I did with that guy. But
Right.
at the end of the day, it's so I sponsor a guy who is working with his first sponsee now, and
You're a grand sponsor.
yeah,
Congratulations.
right, yeah. So he just finished a fifth step with this guy, and he'll call me and he's like, dude, like you weren't lying to me, and I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you weren't lying. He's like, this is amazing. Like this feels great. I was like, yeah, and so many people miss out on that
Yeah.
because they get scared or they think that they won't have all the answers, and so they don't step out on faith. They just step out on, or they don't step out on anything, and then they end up missing all the gifts of sobriety, which is everything. It's like there's levels to it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm sober, I'm doing well. That's one level, right? But then you start working with others, and it's like you reach this other pinnacle, you reach this other level of spirituality and
I can
just
see
being
it in your
service.
all's when you guys and others speak on it. I can see it. It's like
Yeah.
a glimmer in your eyes,
It's
the
a real
animation on your face, like
Even if they don't get it,
right.
because most of them aren't, but that's not an indicator of our failure or success as a sponsor.
Yeah.
Like if someone doesn't get it, or if they relapse, that's not our fault.
Yeah. And I think it's always good. Like, I've had more sponsees run away and not speak to them again than I've had stick
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, that's going to be, and I used to be like, man, I did something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case.
It's good to know that. It's
Yeah,
good to
it's-
put that in my head because it makes sense. The statistics in general for us,
Mhm.
more of us
It sucks.
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
stick
Yeah.
to it than
Yeah.
do.
The odds are as we go on to sponsoring people to take somebody through the steps, like the odds are stacked against us as
Yeah.
far as having sponsees who are successful over and over again. Like it's just not a real thing.
If you can get 1 out of 10, you're like that's probably average.
Mhm.
Like that's good.
But I can see where it would be just so fulfilling. I get a small taste of it when, like if there's a newcomer and I make a point to engage with them, and when they come back, I talk to them just to see the progression a little bit with them, and them to be more comfortable around us, and also with social media, like at first I was really ashamed of everything, ashamed of going away. I didn't tell everybody, um, and also most people did not know I had a problem. I was a high functioning alcoholic. I didn't look like addiction. And so I made the decision pretty early on that I wanted to be really transparent about it because I think people need to understand that addiction doesn't, it looks like all different kinds of shit. It doesn't mean that it doesn't look, you don't have to be like homeless under an overpass, But anyway, my point of that is because I've spoken about it, I've had several people reach out to me, private message, and just those conversations and me, being able to just talk to them and let them know that they're not alone, and there is like that feeling is awesome. And I'm not sponsoring anybody, but just knowing that maybe I've made it, maybe there's a seed that's been planted and their life might get better. So it gives me chills. Like I can't imagine actually, helping somebody to come, because I want this for everyone. It's not even about not drinking. It is the life we we live.
Yeah.
You know, it's a whole different, because the things you learn in AA and the steps, and for me, my faith, you know, I thought that people, like, it either came naturally to you or not that you knew God. When people would talk about God in their face so like casually and comfortably, I was like, dude, I wish I could be like that. I thought it just came naturally, and all you have to do is start, you know, and like, I don't know, without God and my prayer, you know, I don't I don't think things would be as wonderful as I know they wouldn't be as wonderful as they are.
And I'm a firm believer in recovering out loud.
Yeah.
Like I don't care who knows it.
Yeah.
I will break my anonymity at any time. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's mine. You know, it we've talked about it before, you know, and the feeling I've had that happen where people reach out several times, people that I haven't spoken to in years that just come out of nowhere, and they know that I'm in recovery and they see things I post online and they reach out, and it's so awesome to hear from those people. And maybe I don't ever see them, but at least that's when you know something has been planted.
Right.
And this is about saving lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what this is about, right?
Yeah.
So I will always be open about it. And I used to be ashamed.
Yeah.
I'm not anymore. This is literally, I finally got to that point to where I used to think people are crazy, that they even think that alcoholism and addiction is the best thing that ever happened to them. I know it is.
Yeah.
I know it is the best thing that's happened to me now. You know, I finally am at that point. So I would encourage you to keep recovering out loud.
I feel like it's a responsibility that we're doing a
It
disservice if
is
we
a
don't
responsibility.
It is
a
our
requirement.
carry the message.
It is our job to carry the message. And how can you do that if you're anonymous?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so it's so crazy that y'all just said that, because that's where I was getting ready to go to, is our fifth tradition states that, you know, that is our primary purpose. That is our main job, is to carry the message of hope to the alcoholic who still suffers. Right. So that's what we have to do. And, you know, there's this, so alcoholism, addiction, right? Like there's this ripple effect that comes with it. Like it affects, Evan was saying earlier, it affects our families, it affects everyone that we come in contact with, but so does our recovery. So there's the ripple effect to that. So you talking to a newcomer at a meeting or through, you know, private message or whatever, you know, it's planting a seed. And then if it plants a seed with them and then they make some positive changes in their life, then it affects their husband or wife, and it affects their kids,
Such a cool way to
and
think
their
about
grandfather, and their employees or their people they work with, you know, and like it just keeps going.
And then they probably act differently.
But in your mind, right? Because you said earlier, you're thinking, I've got to do this grand gesture. Right. But you're doing this little thing, but you don't know how big it is when you do it, because it could possibly affect 1 million people. By the time the whole ripple goes, it could affect all these different people. Because what if that one person stays sober and then they go sponsor 5 people, and then 3 of them go sponsor a total of 20 people, and then those people go help 100 other people, and then it keeps going like that, and we don't know when we're doing it that we're doing this big thing, but we're doing this huge thing. So you might be doing these grand gestures, but you're not aware of them yet. We don't know how it's going to play out. You know, it could be something as simple as you were talking to someone at the meeting a couple weeks ago before the meeting, you know, and I was listening. Right? I was kind of, and I was like, okay.
I mean, we weren't whispering, so,
right?
You
I
know,
mean, they were talking right next to me, but I was paying attention, you know, and I was just like, okay, like, yeah, like she's helping, you know, and I know that she's not your sponsee, but someone doesn't have to be our sponsee for us to be of service and for us to help somebody. You know, you were helping. You know, even if it's just something as small as, hey, I'm here to listen.
Yeah.
What you got? What's grinding you up right now? What you got? I'll listen. You know. I mean, it can be something that small,
Yeah.
you know, or it can be holding someone accountable.
Yeah.
Like, pull your head out.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, sometimes we gotta do that too.
Yeah.
You know, but it comes in different ways. You know, love, like we always preach the love and tolerance. That's our code,
Mhm.
right? But I think a lot of times we interpret that as I have to treat this person with kid gloves.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes we do, but sometimes it's not very loving of me to just bury my head in the sand and let you
Right.
just burn alive.
Yeah.
You know, it's like sometimes I gotta be like, hey, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you doing?
feelings have to be hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, to get the truth out. You know, the truth hurts.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but it's necessary.
And they might be waiting like I was to
Yeah.
for somebody. Because it's kind of like, I know everybody, I know y'all see this. We're all, it's the elephant in the room,
Yeah.
you know, and just waiting on somebody to, if I hadn't have gotten that sick, something really bad had to happen to me too. Because I did so much bad shit for so long with no consequences. Not, I mean, some, but not, you know, penitentiary, or I wasn't homeless. So I could have kept on going like I was for a very long time if I didn't end up really sick, and if my family would not have been like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you know, something's got to give.
So, before we wrap up, like
Time
what is
flies.
it does. Yeah.
I was so nervous.
You're doing great.
What is life like today?
Oh man. I mean, like I said before, I I feel so fortunate sometimes that I almost feel like I'm not worthy, right? Like things are too good, but it's not. It's just that I'm living the life that I was supposed to live. Life is, for me in my recovery, structure and routine is really, really important to me. I didn't do it on purpose, but I have figured out that it makes me feel stable and calm. So like I do meal prep on the same day every week. I, you know, go to the same meetings every week, and I do laundry on certain days. It's weird because I lived in constant chaos for so long that is helpful. It's life looks like structure and routine. Life looks like going to my nephew's games at 8 o'clock in the morning, you know, when I would have been sick and in bed all day, being available to answer the phone at all times. You know, not being ashamed anymore and feeling just smothered in love and pride from my family and friends. And it's just incredible. I want to look forward now that I'm on my own 2 feet and I know that I'm not going to drink. I want to know what is God calling me to do next? What is the program calling me to do next? How am I going to help people? And even though I'm scared, I'm going to do it because that's what we do. And somebody did it for me, right? What if people have been too scared to help me?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's a perfect mindset to have when
Absolutely.
it comes to that kind of stuff is, you know, what if, right? Like, I wouldn't be sitting here today if someone
Correct.
hadn't done it for me. So,
We say yes.
yeah, gotta say yes. Gotta say yes. Say yes. And sometimes I'm like, why did I say yes? But,
Yeah.
but you know, it all works out. And I'm like, I'm glad I said yes. I'm glad I did that, you know. Yeah. So we appreciate you coming on.
I'm so glad
Yeah.
I did.
You
This
did
is
great.
awesome.
You guys
did
helped
great.
me a lot. I've got some things that are going to stick in my head now. So thank
Good
you.
deal.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.